I have the tough job to be the last speaker, and I'll try to keep it as small as possible because I don't want to come between all of us and dinner, which is after a pretty hard day's work. But also we've heard and spoken a lot about plastics, very useful stuff as well. But I would like to talk about something which we must all engage in deeply because going forward more and more this is going to become important for the businesses. So without further ado, let me just start. Just a short background about myself. I used to work in the chemical industry for many years, and then I moved to venture capital and investment management, where I was evangelizing and thinking about how digital would impact industry in general. So we did some work on B2C, which have already all evolved and developed, matured. Business to business is a much bigger opportunity, and it will have a much bigger impact, but it's also that much more complicated or somewhat difficult in some way. So we believe that it's a process, and it's an ongoing process which will take place. So let's talk about digital transformation, which is being talked about more and more, and I'm sure all of you have heard about digital transformation because it is the buzzword in the industry now. So what really do we mean by digital transformation? So the digital so what's digital really? So it's the internet, the computing power which has gone up, the cloud computing, and telecom and mobile. So there has been a revolution of sorts in these four technologies, and we all know about it. So probably there is not much to describe this. These have already happened, and the technologies in these regards have changed our lives radically. The two new things which are happening beyond these four are artificial intelligence and virtual reality, which will have its own impact. But these four are already very mature, and to some extent, if we have not used this fully, we have not used the full potential. But a lot of action is happening, and it's about time that we all take note of how things will take shape in the future. So what do these four technologies do? They make information much better, and they make the availability of information much better, much more precise. There was earlier no information, then there was a glut of information. Now with all these technologies, you can get the information, the right information at one place. Connectivity is quite obvious on the internet and through the phones and through all these advanced technologies. You can connect, and at virtually no cost. And collaboration. So the third big thing that these technologies bring is collaboration. And business is in fact about only these three. We need information of different kinds, we need connectivity with all the stakeholders who are participants in the business, and we need collaboration. So what do these do to business? They make internal improvements possible, and they make customer engagements much better, in a much better way. So these technologies can actually transform internal operations as well as customer engagements. So clearly, they would have a massive impact on business. And I would say that that's one part, the good impact. The other part is, if you don't do it, then somebody else who does it will leave you far behind. So therefore, it's not just a question of doing a good thing or the right thing. It's a question of understanding the space and getting into it with a view to benefit the business. So this is how, I mean, I would venture to say that if you don't think digital and if you don't find your path, everybody will have a different path to success in digital. If you don't do that, you would miss out on the revenue and profit growth opportunity. I would go on to say that, sometimes others may just overtake so much that you may just, somebody who doesn't do it would be left behind. So what's digital transformation? Transformation, is a massive change. It's a big change. It's not just incremental. And so therefore, when we talk about digital transformation, we are saying that adopting digital in a significant way to bring about massive changes in the way business is done. And you would probably already have read about it, or probably some of you are doing it already. I think everybody is thinking about how can we bring about that substantial change to improve business performance and to improve competitive positions. Okay, so what is digital transformation, and how will it happen? So the first part of that is digital intensity. Now, a host of things can be done from one end to another. You have to choose your options, and you have to choose as many options that help your business, that help you do your business better, and for both internal improvements and for customer engagement. And you can do a lot. I mean, and you can do a lot. But the second part, which is often missed out, is the transformation management intensity. It doesn't happen. You just kind of throw in multiple digital initiatives without the management preparation and the leadership capability in establishing a vision, a system of governance, engagement of the entire organization, and the IT business relationships, which all have to come together. Maybe some of you have experienced, or some of you have seen how the best of initiatives have failed to yield any result, or in fact damaged the organization, took it back because you had to undo things, and it was done in a bad way. There were disparate systems which could not talk to each other, and therefore the organization started losing instead of gaining. So basically, I want to emphasize that if you're thinking about digital transformation, you must think about digital intensity and selection of the digital initiatives that work for you. And secondly, the transformation management or the change management, so that you really gain from it. So Capgemini did a very interesting study, and they plotted it in a quadrant in which it's mapped the transformation management intensity on one side, people who don't do it, and people who do it really well, and on the other side, the digital intensity. So, somebody who doesn't adopt digital, and somebody who doesn't kind of manage the transformation very well, they are calling beginners. They're saying that they're beginners, and because the assumption is that people will do it because people will be forced to do it. Okay? The conservatives are skeptics. They think, oh, digital will not work. Oh, we don't need it. Maybe we shouldn't do it. But they're very strong in management. They have a belief, and they have a system by which they manage their businesses very well. But they're skeptics about digital, so they do their own thing, or they do a little bit of digital, but they're quite strong on management. Of course, the fashionistas are the people who jump on the digital bandwagon and say, okay, let's do everything, or do more than they can cope with. And so they call them fashionistas. And the last quadrant, which obviously is the best quadrant, they called it digirati, which means they are the people who are well evolved, they know what to do, they know how to do, they choose as many digital initiatives as they can, and they manage it well. They manage the process very well as well. And not surprisingly, the results that they studied about 300 companies, and they found that if you do digital on the revenue side, you still do all right. Even if you don't have the management bandwidth, you do all right. But if you don't do digital, so therefore on the revenue you suffer. You can see that in these quadrants you don't do so well in revenue. It's a minus 4% here, and I'll just enlarge this and see. Okay. So these are negatives. The red are negatives, and these are positive numbers. So that's it. In profitability, the top quadrant is 26% better, But these guys, the conservatives, don't do that badly as well. But the digitati suffer because they have taken on too many initiatives. They have invested in those initiatives which are not yielding any ground, and so therefore that's not a good place to be. Likewise, in market valuation, again, the fourth quadrant succeeds. So basically, what this brings about is that people who who have the digital intensity, who choose the right digital initiatives for their companies, and people who can manage that well, are the ones who would succeed. So therefore, and it's a path. You know, you would be in one quadrant or the other. You must try to move from there. So if you think you're in the beginner quadrant, you have to choose your path, whether you want to go right and strengthen your management setup, or you want to go vertical and choose more digitally, or you can go diagonal, or if you're in one quadrant or other. But you must aim to move in a quadrant where you choose the maximum number of digital initiatives and strengthen your management systems to cope with it and to gain from it the most. Very quickly, a very simplistic description of the plastics industry. I would say that you're taking polymer and you're processing it in multiple ways and maybe multiple steps, and you are making a finished product which is either B2B or B2C. Now, another way, a simplified way, is that, look, you have a raw material of sorts, then you're processing the raw material, and then you have finished products that you're making. So you need a procurement system on the left side, and you need a selling system on the right side, and you need an internal processing system on that. So it's not just on supply chain, but on the entire gamut of business activities like product development, internal management, HR systems, and everything. So the things that you can do, the first set of things that you can do is procurement processes, which are outbound processes. Second is vendor engagements, and then new vendor development. Likewise, on the sales side, it is sales processes, customer engagement, and new customer development. Now, of course, on the center, ERP has been practiced, and practically everybody has some kind of an ERP or the other, whether it's a big company or a small company. The new thing, of course, is Internet of Things. Our belief is that this Internet of Things will impact process efficiencies and the way manufacturing is done, and it will make things much simpler. So the thing to do internally is to use in your manufacturing processes those gadgets and those systems which can improve your process productivity by sensing them and putting it on the cloud, and analysis of data, the data management element, and then turning that into intelligence, which will help you do much better. So that's an area which you must engage in. Likewise, on the procurement side and the sales side, which is outbound, which is not inside the organization entirely, and you have to interact with multiple stakeholders in that, your vendors or your customers. You need three things. You need information, what's going on. You need the correct information, external as well as internal. Then you need connectivity, and you need collaboration. Ultimately, all business processes are all three. And the digital opportunity is to use these three things, information, connectivity, and collaboration, to do your business better overall. The going forward path is the platform path. Initially, or so far, we've had one-to-one systems. So therefore, you pick up the phone, you talk to somebody, you write an email to somebody. Then it became one-to-many. You write email to like 3 people or 10 people or whatever. And therefore, there are multiple one-to-many processes that you follow. The world is moving towards the platform economy. Because what the platform does is that it can bring everything at one place. So, you don't need to. The communication, the information, the connectivity, the collaboration, it can just happen on one platform. So what technology has now done is that on one platform, which is a web-based platform, but a web-based platform is also on the mobile phone, it's also on any other medium, can just have it all. The challenge, of course, is to get the members there, because it's powerful when everybody is there. When just one person is there, then it's really not as effective. And that's what has been holding back the business to business or the e-commerce aspect of business, because you need first the platform to be populated, and then the interactions and everything can become so good. But now, with the cloud computing and with the cloud-based systems, it's not only become very simple, it's become very affordable. And the amount, and with the computing power, the amount of things can be done. I wouldn't bore you with the details, is like quite enormous. And therefore, the opportunity for all of us is fantastic. But you have to choose how you would adopt it, what you would adopt first, what would help your organization the most. And therefore, I mean, that's a path that you have to choose. We believe a good thing would be to start with information. If we have really good information, both external and internal, rendered at the right time, at the right place, the decision making can be far superior. So, because B2C we have all experienced, and maybe I'll just take 2 minutes to, because we did work on B2C also in my time in investments. B2B is much bigger and the impact will be much more, because we know that multiple steps go before it goes into a consumer. Even in plastics, before it becomes a consumer product, there are about 6 or 7 or 10 B2B processes that are followed. But B2B is so different from B2C that if we try to just replicate the B2C success into B2B, it's bound to fail. And it has failed. It's not that people have not tried, it's just not worked, because B2B is so inherently different. The touch points are different, the complexities are different, the decision making is different. So what's the value in B2B? And which is, of course, also equally important for the plastics industry. The value is in the processing. And if you had the right information, 5 to 10% differences can be made. And I showed you some numbers. By using digital technologies, all right, people have been able to improve their profitability by 26%, revenue by 9%, and market cap by 12%. That's a very substantial number. That's a very substantial number. The second, as I said, the pitfall in this is that if you don't do it, somebody who does it just takes a big lead. So I think it's time that you engage, and we would recommend that think of the platform economy. Look for any platform that works for you, and does the job for you. And we would also recommend that start with information. It's very hard to disrupt everything. Suppose you were to choose a commerce system. For example, e-commerce is the buzz. Everybody will say that, okay, let's do commerce. But it's not just you. You have, say, 50 vendors and 50 customers. You have to get them all to come and do that. And those 50 have their separate 50, and these 50 have their another 100, So it becomes very complex, and therefore it never gets done. Although the value is very much there. The value is tremendous. So we believe, start with information. Improve your information systems. Get into connectivity. Look for collaboration opportunities, on platforms, and get used to the platform systems. We would also say that if you do that, the next steps will follow on its own. The organization will get oriented. Your ecosystem will get oriented to this. And that's how success will come, So Chemarc is one of the platforms. Very briefly, what we are doing. Chemarc.com it was launched in August by Professor M.M. Sharma. So we had his blessings. We are very pleased to for him to inaugurate our platform. So what we have done, if you have a chance, you should have a quick look at Chemarc, and probably you should look at any other platform as well, and see what works best for you. So we have we have a vision to be the digital platform for the chemical industry, and we have started with content which we think should be easy to adopt, rather than very disruptive things which will change everything and hard to adopt. So we have, to begin with, launched the color publications magazines, and so Popular Plastics, for example, the digital version of that is available. You can go to the advantages, for example, is that you can reach out to the old copies anytime. You can share it, you can comment, you can bookmark it, you can choose you can search content, etc., which is difficult to do in a publication. Of course, publications have their own advantages in terms of, the joys of reading a book will always remain. So I think they are both relevant. So magazines. Then we have a 24/7 news and views section, which brings what is relevant for people. And we have some data. We have data for every company in India, 1.6 million companies. So your vendors, your customers, your competitors, your associates, you can, at a click of a button, you can get information for that. We have import duties, anti-dumping duties, and all of that. And we have also market data. In each one of them, we have used technology. We are not trying to just replicate a manual system with people and just putting it on a computer system. We have used technology in each. We are using artificial intelligence and machine learning systems to collect what you may need and to render to you what you need, rather than, because chemical industry is very big. For example, you're interested only in plastics, you should be able to get only plastics and not pharmaceuticals, for example. Of course, if you want to read both, then you can get both. The second is what we call collaboration solutions. And so far we have 3 things in process. This is all done, the first set. The second set is business connect, in which we would connect businesses through messaging and advertising and a profile and all that. You can have a look. We are very excited about the Academia Connect program that we are launching. We are working very closely with IIT Mumbai and ICT to begin with, in which their expertise will bring on our platform and your queries and your requirements. So although there may be some connect, we think that there is need for greater connect between the academia and the industry, and both will benefit from it. So we are very excited about these 2 developments, because these 2 very premier institutions we are working with, and very shortly we'll be launching. We are also equally pleased about what we have heard from the government. We are about to finalize all the government things, like the notifications, the things. They need to interact with the industry, and the industry needs to interact with them. There are multiple forums. There are industry associations which are doing very good work. I'm sure plastics have a few industry associations which are doing very good work. What we bring to the table is our existing subscribers of color publications magazines. There are 25,000 companies. About 100,000 people are reading these magazines. And of course, Dilip and his family have a track record of 65 years of bringing useful content to the chemical industry, and also in the process has built very deep relationships. So we have a starting community of about 25,000 companies, which everybody wants to address, the academic, IIT Bombay, UDCT and others, the top institutions. The government wants to connect as well, because they want to, and also this community needs to connect with all that in an effective way, so that they know what is to be done. And so that's another very exciting development that we are about to launch in a while. And but that's not where we end. We will improve all this. This is always a process. It will never end. And ultimately, we are also going to launch enterprise solutions. For example, jobs. Finding jobs or finding people is a challenging task. We have to take a nuanced approach. One size doesn't fit all. Chemical industry or plastics industry has specific needs. We should be able to find the right people for the right companies. We are also working with banks, because we have all the data for the companies to connect and get financing for companies on the platform and make that easy. So these are some solutions which we'll be rolling out in the next few months. And of course, going forward, it would be CRM for greater customer connect and better customer engagement. Then analytics to give you more data management and for you to take better decisions based on all the information that you have. And ultimately, I think the holy grail is commerce, but we do believe that we need to build that community and we need to service them on other needs before really commerce can take off. So it's really something that I would urge you to start thinking very seriously about. And probably you are thinking about it already. And we hope to be of some help and some service to you. Okay, thank you very much. So if you have any questions, by all means. Okay, all right. All right, thank you very much then.
Thank you, Punit, and thanks everyone. There's nothing more that I have to add today. Already spoken enough and taken a lot of your time.